this is Sarah from The Only Schooling Mom, and I'm going to be talking about something a little different today. I watched a video yesterday from Christina from Teach Like a Girl, and she talked about anxiety and how it affected her teaching. And it encouraged me to make this video. And this video is about why I don't have a full-time teaching job. As you may know, and as I've said before, I do have a teaching degree. And I did have a teaching license, a K-6 Kansas teaching license for 4 years. This is very difficult for me to talk about because I did think I was going to become a teacher. At first, when you graduate from your teaching program, from your 4-year teaching program, or your additional 2 years, which I did, you take your tests, and then you get a provisional teaching license, which lasts for 2 years, and during that time you look for a full-time teaching position, or part-time, or whatever you can get at the time. And at that point, I was in a very severe car accident, and that left me with about 1.5 years of recovery time, plus some of that time was spent with dealing with workman's comp. So for 1.5 years I could not work. I couldn't substitute teach. I couldn't work at the local museum that I worked at previously. So, hi kitty. Oh, and you brought your ball again. No, we can't play fetch. I'm talking to the camera right now. There's a lot of people who are listening to me. Anyhow, so part of the problem I'm going to have with this story is I have gaps in my memory because part of the accident, it was a rollover accident, and I was the driver and I hit my head against the driver's side window, and so I had a mild brain injury basically. So I have some gaps in my memory from that time period. At the end of those 2 years of that provisional license, you can apply for a second provisional license so that you can continue to look for a job. And at that point, I did start looking for a full-time teaching position. There were no jobs in the entire county, and there are many districts in our county. Our county is fairly large. There are, I think, 5 different school districts in the county, and there were no jobs in any of them. At the same time, my son decided that he wanted to be homeschooled. He was getting bullied at school, and I thought to myself, well, I can at least have a school of one. I can teach my own child, which is why I'm the only schooling mom, because I only school one child. Now you're going to say to me, why didn't you then pursue later on a full-time teaching position once he felt more comfortable? Because that was an option, that once he felt more comfortable and maybe wanted to go back to public school, would I go back to full-time teaching? And the answer is no. I will never go back and look for a full-time teaching position. And that's not because I would have to go and take classes or retake the test. It is because I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder after my son was born. I did not think that that would hold me back at any point during the process of learning to become a teacher. Unfortunately, when I was learning to become a teacher, okay, I'll back up a little bit. At the time when I was learning to become a teacher, my bipolar was under control. I had the right medicines. I was under the right doctors. So everything was going well. Everything was under control, and I could teach. I was substitute teaching. I was a paraeducator. I could do my student teaching. Everything was flowing just fine. Okay, I forgot what I was talking about. It's one of those gaps I have. I had to stop and take the video off the phone because I have very little memory on the phone. My phone is as bad as my brain. Oh yes. Okay, so I was doing well doing my student teaching and all. A couple years down the road, after the accident and all that, after there were no jobs, and after I started homeschooling my son, I had a bipolar incident. And basically I had an anxiety attack that was so bad it landed me in the hospital. They didn't check me in overnight, but that has happened in the past. In fact, I've had three trips to the hospital, 2 stays in the hospital that have lasted about 7 days apiece. And I thought to myself at that point that it would not be fair to any school, any class, any student for me to have an incident that landed me in the hospital for 7 days. And then afterwards, it took me 6 months to get my medication straightened out, new medication to get me back on track again. It took 6 months, and it took a year before I am back to who I am, back to feeling like I am Sarah Childs again, back to who you see in front of the camera right now. That's fine for a homeschool environment. You can take a break. But for a school to have to find another teacher, a substitute teacher for 6 months at minimum, just because I had an incident and I don't know when they're going to come. There's no indication when something like that, something that severe is going to happen. It could happen while I'm in the middle of a panic mode, of an elevated mode. It could happen during the middle of a depressed mode. There are ups and downs. It could come just on its own. And so I decided that that wasn't fair to any school district, student, or classroom. And so I've decided to become basically a permanent substitute teacher. Now, that's not to say that I won't take a long-term substitute teaching job, because if something were to occur then, let's say I take a month-long job and something occurs, they can find another substitute teacher to fill my space. But I probably won't take anything that's past a month long. It's unlikely I'll do something that's 6 months long, something like that. So when my son maybe decides to go back to public school, which he would like to do for high school, I will then become a long-term, not a long-term, like a permanent substitute teacher. I will just sub as often as they'd like me to. And right now I'm only doing 2 days a week because that's as many days as I want to be gone from him while we're doing the homeschooling. So that's my story. It's difficult to watch a lot of these videos of these beautiful classrooms and the fun stuff people buy at Target and the things that they put on Teachers Pay Teachers and the things they do with their classrooms and with their students. It's very hard to watch those. It's very fun to watch those. I'm living vicariously through these videos, and I'm using as much as I can in my homeschool with my son, which is why I try to watch some more of the middle school, high school videos that I can. Real Rap with Reynolds and, excuse me, I'm trying to think, oh, what's the middle school one? Again, I'm having that the brain freeze. I can't think of it. Too School for Middle School. But I love all the grade school ones too. And so, but I also want more homeschool people out there to join in so we can try to figure out, and I've said this before, so we can figure out how to incorporate all that great stuff into our homeschools and not just be a homeschool community, but to be a larger education community. Incorporate the technology we see in the public schools. Let's incorporate the public school things that work with the homeschool things that work. and maybe share the homeschool things that work with the public school people, and we can make a larger educational community instead of homeschool community and public school community. I've digressed. So that's my story about why I'm not going to become a public school full-time teacher. And it feels good to be able to talk about it. If you feel that you are having troubles, if you feel that maybe you have symptoms that might be bipolar, if you are bipolar and you need someone to talk to, please DM me, comment me. I'm on Instagram. I would love to talk to anybody. I am very comfortable talking about it with other people. I just was not comfortable talking about why I'm not teaching. But I am very comfortable talking about being bipolar. And so if that is something you would like to talk about, if you'd like to see more videos about that, then I'll do that. So if you want to see anything like that, comment below. If you like these videos, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell over there so you know if I've put out any more videos. And again, my name is Sarah. I'm the only schooling mom. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.